Hi guys, welcome to my channel. It's Hazel, and I'll start with the worst kept secret in the world. YouTube video people pre-tape and schedule videos. And the reason for that is pretty obvious, that we do it so that we have a slush pile of scheduled videos so that when life gets in the way and something hits the fan, that, the show must go on. So I am taping day 16 of the 100-day project, which means that the video immediately previous to this was day 15. And I will give you some insider info that it was all about wallpaper borders. And I hope you tune into that one. Well, I guess if you do, you'll probably see that one before you see this one. So anyway, forget I said that. But once the video is over, of course, the job at hand then is to clear the decks and get ready for the next one. So I had a pretty, I thought, well laid out plan for what I was going to do next. And trust me, it wasn't this. But because I have so many wallpaper borders and I had dragged them all out, I thought, well, it's time to, sort of clean up that area, tighten up and neaten up that storage solution that I had for them, which then led me to having to move a banker's box absolutely jam-packed with book pages and book blocks, and I don't know. I'm thinking that if you're at all like me, and probably most other people out there, we're drowning in this sort of paper. So I thought, I should also say that I'm really gratified by the number of people who are subscribing and choosing to tune in and so on. But I have to say, when I go through a process like this here in my own little space, I'm getting a benefit out of this, whether you guys were there or not. I mean, even if a single soul wasn't watching these, I benefit from the process because it reminded me what I had. I thought, oh, that is so cool, which of course I forgot that I acquired somehow, probably, paid for it, had obviously a plan or an intention for it, and then life gets in the way and another shiny object comes along and so on. So as I'm trying to now organize these a bit and bring them to the front of to put them on the front burner, so to speak, I thought that there might be some value, especially if you're new, to see what process I use for, number one, determining what to buy or, save from my own library, how I would approach particular publications and what I would look for in them. So this is kind of a sea of books here. Trust me, I'm not going to touch every page or anything like that, but let's get to it. So you can see that in this, I didn't realize this side was gesso. You can see that at some point I must have gessoed a bunch of book pages because, of course, that's a good way to prep them for either stamping or, the first layer to do something else. So I've got something like that here. This is a dictionary, and of course, I'm actually, I do a Sunday series called What's in My Bookcase, which reminds me I have to do one for Sunday. And basically, I'm sure I could do a whole episode just on dictionaries because, of course, dictionaries come in all sizes and shapes. They come in multiple languages. Some are illustrated, some are not. Anyway, so this is obviously a dictionary whose cover I removed, thinking I was keeping this handy to use. Well, this is one of those where the paper is not ultra thin, so that's good. And let's just say that something like this has value because of the way it's laid out. So clearly, very, very clear columns, a difference in the boldness of the font, tiny little illustrations that may or may not be relevant to what you're doing. And of course, depending on the age of the dictionary, may have some really lovely looking, lovely colored paper. So something like this, I'm sure there are videos out there dedicated simply to using dictionary pages, but it seems to me that I would treat it just like any other book page. It would make a great, let's just maybe use the umbrella term collage, knowing that you can collage a masterboard, you can collage journaling cards or pockets or envelopes or playing cards or whatever. So let's just drop it and say collage. So I'll put that one aside. Let's maybe tackle this pile. So this is obviously a cute little book, and sewn in signatures. Don't know, what does this say? That might be somebody's name. I don't know. Anyway, kind of an interesting color, obviously fairly old, and it's a math book of some sort. So we know that these sorts of pages, and then some handwritten notes, that these sorts of pages, practical mathematics for the Army? That makes it even more exciting. Looky there, the metric system. So pages like this are absolutely great for the extra graphic element that they bring. See, this is like perforated almost. These are, these are exercises. So I guess the guys could learn the material and then detach and do the exercises. Anyway, so a lot of possibilities here for collage. But of course, if you've, Canada's War Production, 1941 and 42. Let's just say that if I forgot that I had this, it does nobody any good. So I'm reacquainted with that. Here is more math, probably at a more advanced level. Oh, this belongs with this is still the military one. Okay, so this is an algebra book of some sort. You can see that the pages are a different color, a lot of equations, tables. That came from the Edson Public Library. And you can see that the title probably was Teach Yourself Algebra. Well, my lovelies, that ship has sailed. I am not about to teach myself algebra, though I probably took it in school. It just was not something that obviously stuck. So again, same sort of thing, collage fodder. And you can see that with a lot of these papers here, the differences in color alone make them valuable to have at your fingertips. This is one of those little heritage books. I don't even know if they still make them or not, but for a while there I was hooked on them. I have no idea what, 1989. So basically, it's a combination of prayers and short little stories and quotes by famous people. Okay, he is rich who owns the day, and no one owns the day who allows it to be invaded by worry, fret, and anxiety. Ralph Waldo Emerson. So that's true. We're not in charge of the day if we let worry, fret, and anxiety interfere. So this has value in that, again, there's some font sizes, the capital letters, John Diefenbaker was one of the prime ministers of Canada. John Diefenbaker was a capital C conservative. It was unusual, therefore, to see him welcome Gerald Reagan, a Liberal, to the House of Commons. Although I don't usually welcome Liberals to the Commons, in your case I will make an exception, said the smiling Mr. Diefenbaker. I'm glad to have you there. You speak worse French than I do. Okay, so the larger font, the dates, maybe a person just wants to do something with dates, the quotes, and so on. That's the value in a page like this. Now, this is all glued, so if you wanted to turn a couple of these into an actual signature, you'd need to obviously add a hinge. Let's see what this is. Okay, this is, I'm almost positive. Yeah, based on the layout and the coloring, you know, just one of a gazillion Reader's Digest books. So, well, this whole pile, in fact. So the way these books were structured is that they had several stories in them. They usually had a color photo of the author. They had a colored title page like this that I think usually spread over 2 pages. That's how it was in this particular case. And of course, a lot of discoloration because most of these are really old. The only Reader's Digest that I buy are the ones with the nice covers, like not the blue, not the brown, not the ones that sort of break when you look at them the wrong way, but the ones that have those artistic covers. So what I've done with, okay, so suppose I just cut this out of the book. I would obviously separate this end paper with the little RD, you know, logo, monogram kind of thing there. So I'd put that with end papers. I would also separate any drawings or illustrations. So there's, you know, that, like a full page, there's this. I would also probably separate author mugshots. Now we can see that there's a lovely W. Well, maybe I'm doing something and I want a W like that. Let's see if every chapter has a... Those, okay, so those might be few and far between, but still, if you begin ripping them out and saving them every time you come across something like that, before too long, you'll have, you know, a good part of the alphabet. So I would save this. And of course, a lot of YouTubers also use books that maybe aren't the greatest as glue books. Okay, so there's another little type of fancier start. I can't remember what those letters are called that start a paragraph or a chapter, but there's a special word. There's another one, different color. So anyway, I was saying glue books. So I'm sure you've noticed that people who do that, and somehow I've never gotten into that habit. I tend to prefer the bigger, glossier paper that comes from magazines and so on. There's another little W. Okay, let's get through this pile. You can see that this is kind of raggedy. I didn't clean it up very well. And these things can sometimes even hurt you. They're pretty sharp. Okay, here's another probably title page. Oh, it's just, well, again, there's some beauty to that. Like even the word books is kind of cool there. Okay, so let me put this aside. Oh, I've started that sentence half a dozen times. Glue books. So you'll often see people have a book block like this beside them. They use this as a backing to do their gluing on so that they're not getting their table, their work surface all gross with glue. And then when the page gets too gluey, they rip it out, fold it up, and then they have sort of a book page base for something. It could either be this way or this way. And then, of course, the job is only half done, because then you then have to then do something with all those glue bases. So I hope I'm getting to the point I'm trying to make here. Okay, so then sometimes there are line drawings of the author. Now those have a value in themselves too. So let's put that guy with the smiling cowboy over there. And we see that we have a full color illustration. So that can go with that. Now, if you notice in these books, no, I haven't paid attention to see if it's just within a story or if it's within the whole book, there will be a very definite color story happening as well. So I know that sometimes when I have harvested a lot of these images, if I think that the colors look, work well together, I've used them in collage, and I don't know if I've ever shown that on a video or not. Making a master board using, it's okay. This illustrator clearly has a very different style and aesthetic than the ones I just showed you. Now this probably goes with the same thing. So again, I would separate out these pages, because then you'll find that there is a color story happening. So obviously I did rip these out of, here's another headshot. I did rip these out of several different stories and began, sort of separating them. So here a few more, and you don't need to, obviously, you get the point. You don't need to watch me do any more of that. So I'll continue that after this video, and when I should be doing something else, like video number 3 of the day. I'll just set this here for the time being. Oh, I don't know which thrift haul video it was, but I came across, it might have been published already, some packages of skeleton leaves. And in each package there was some of this, I don't even know what this stuff is, but it's scented. And it's been, kind of kicking around on my desk, and every so often I just sort of sniff through the cellophane, and I'm thinking, that's really nice. I really must do something with that. So today in the cupboard, I found this, I guess it's probably like a travel salt shaker, whatever. So there are different sized holes, and then there's closed, of course. So I decided, I dumped all 3 packages in there, and it fit perfectly. And now if I need a shot of something nice smelling, I just do a little inhale, and it's not taking up as much space on my desk. Anyway, okay, more Reader's Digest. More Reader's Digest. So, there are gazillions of these, and one of these days I have to get serious about turning all those beautiful covers into journals. But you can just see that whether it's collage fodder, as decoration on a card, or whatever. See, there's another nice, whatever that thing is, that letter, that flourishy letter. The table of contents is also, has its, this could be cut out like with either with a punch or just square it off. That would be nice too, to use as an embellishment. So that we will set aside. A couple more here. This one maybe Doesn't really look like I got my hot little hands on it, but again, so the point of what I'm trying to say here is if you want to make things, excuse me, if you want to make things more readily, if you want to make things more available to you, readily available to you, then sometimes you just have to do some of this behind the scenes stuff and do a little prep and a little sorting and a little what I would call the less glamorous side of junk journaling. Okay, this might not be, oh, maybe it is. It's a condensation of some kind because there are different stories or books in here. So, same rules apply. This is ready to fall down, so let's deal with this one. This was something I paid $1 for. It's one of those plastic covered binders. It's French, so we know that I can't read that, and there is no date. But it's a collection of different colored pages. Oh, see, there's no date on this order form either. Anyway, an index. They must be religious, like hymns. Excuse me, I have a cup of hot water here. And the reason I like this, I'm not so sure about some of these colored pages, to be honest. But was the landscape format, because I like when I can fold a page in half and still have the text upright. I'm not, vehemently opposed to having print sideways, but if you want to keep things readable, that's, obviously landscape is better for that. I don't know where these came from. Good. So there are a couple of knitting patterns. Now these are bigger than, I told you, it's not a video unless I measure something. These are, taller than a typical book that we would be making. However, easy enough to fold up and create a pocket, or tear a page in half and fold it the other way. So those kinds of papers. I didn't realize that I had this. It looks like some wood projects, black and white, and you can tell really, look at that, Bathing Beauty. You can tell by the, sort of the layout, the font. It almost looks like it was done in somebody's basement. I mean, the layout of the booklet. So there are, like, this would be a good image for one of my farm journals. Someplace, I don't know if it's in this pile or maybe not. These are more like the photos of the finished projects. So, value in that. Let's maybe slide this down. This was parts of pages that I salvaged from a cookbook. And it was all about muffins, and it had the greatest little, what's it called? Mad About Muffins. So it was one of those illustrated cookbooks. And you can tell that I very clearly grabbed what I wanted. And I guess I thought there was going to be an upcoming paper shortage. So I kept these pieces. Now this does not bode, this is not easy to hang on to unless you keep these sorts of things in a particular place and visit them regularly. should probably do myself a favor and throw this out. I don't like the cutesiness of that, although I suppose I could cut those little I could separate the muffins from the train. That's probably why those are still there. I guess the nice thing about this is that it's all set in an italics font. So I guess I kept it thinking that it would provide a different aesthetic in a collage. I don't know anybody who keeps their peanuts in a basket like that, but hey. Oh, I probably couldn't decide between that and Humpty Dumpty. Anyway, so personal choice, I guess, determined by space or your threshold for, you know, hanging on to things like this. Again, if I thought to myself, boy, I really need an italics, a recipe in italics, would I be able to find this when I need it? Probably not. So it's either on a day like this, when I've rediscovered some of these things, grabbing the bull by the horns and just doing something with it, or the other alternative is throw this in the garbage, never speak of it again, promptly forget I ever had it, and know that there's always more where this came from. I don't know what I'm going to do. You know what I'm going to do? No, I can't decide. I will decide after I finish videotaping. Okay, this, oh, you know what? I think this came out of, what is that guy? James Herriot? The guy, the vet from somewhere in Europe that wrote all those books about animals. And so this book had these nice wide margins and a lot of really nice illustrations. And I have removed and prepped a lot of these. Now how this one got separated, I don't know. But that would obviously be very nice as part of a collage. So that one is not getting thrown out. This, in one of my, I think when I did my, what's on my bookcase, one episode was about oversized books. So a lot of the ones that, or not a lot, but several of the ones that I talked about then were the Norman Rockwell books that all tended to be a larger format. So the back of the book had these, I'm sure it was like this size. If I'm wrong about that, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm not about to choose this side over this side. I love them equally. So what I did was, I must have cut them down, 7 1/4. So I cut them down to a size that would fit into a book. I folded them in such a way that it could be sewn in. Pretend we're making a book. So suppose this was a signature. So they would nest into each other. I would have the benefit of seeing both pages. And on something like this, excuse me, that is narrower than normal, narrower than a normal page. It could be left as it is. It could have something attached to it, like an envelope or another piece of fancy paper. Same thing on this side. So I guess that was my intention there. I know that I also saw the possibilities with these. Now again, you'd have to pick one side over the other. Is using these as vertical belly bands or pockets on the side of or tuck spots or pockets on the side of a page. This is obviously from a different book, different size. These could be, again, collage. They could be journal cards. They could be a wide belly band. So that, yeah, that's wider than a page, but a person could either trim either end or get rid of the white space in between, butt them up together. So I used a bunch of these, but clearly I have more to use, and now I have been reunited with them. So I need to promptly put them somewhere and forget about them again. This, oh, I guess I saved this because of the book, what do you call it, pocket, the library card pocket, 1985, and the love of index pages. These things are often good for, again, for collage, but also for, quite often I put napkins over them, I decoupage napkins over them, because they provide a nice level of interest underneath the napkin. So I'll set that aside so I can separate those pieces. Now this, oh, more knitting patterns. This is obviously a cookbook that was like so, because that's where the coil was. Now does that mean, okay, 1966. So the challenge, oh, this would be good. Okay, there's an illustration. There are these sorts of tables that, again, would be cool, folded in like so. How many of these are there? Okay, so maybe for, while I'm talking, I can do some sorting. This is, I mean, it's a style, obviously, from the 60s. Is that worthy of fussy cutting? I don't think so, but it would be cool, excuse me, on a collage because of the blocks of color and the sketchy type lines. So you can see a similar aesthetic. So I guess these divider pages, oh, it was only this first one that is like so, where, you know, kind of upside down. The rest of these are not. So I won't take the time to do this in front of you, but you can see that there are possibilities here. Again, the same rule would apply to this if a person wanted to create folios, the pages would need to be singed. You can see there's damage on here, kitchen damage on here, and the requisite spills that have dried on for decades. We should carbon date some of that stuff. Okay, so this I can finish sorting after after you guys are gone. Oh dear. That's the danger in doing too many videos in one day. I start losing my voice. Here are more, and these obviously came out in folios and in signatures. Oh, so they must have had sponsors. A&W Drive-In, Burns, which would have been like a meat packing. Well, there was a Burns meat packing plant. IGA. I don't know if that's the one they're referring to, but oh, somebody ripped something. Oh, it might have been me even. Canada Safeway. So again, nice patina. These, excuse me, could easily be cut out and decorate a journaling card in a household or a homemaking type journal. I don't know why. Oh, the index page from that dictionary. So I don't know if these were all the classmates or, hey, well, this isn't my printing, but look, there I am. Or maybe somebody just wrote, oh, there's my sister. There's my other sister. Clearly somebody wrote the names of people wrote down the names of people whose name begins with those initials, those letters. Here, and sometimes I do this, I have, you know, a clamp. Oh, I obviously made an envelope here. Let's see what else I've done. So these are the big full-page florally magazine book pages that obviously came out of a gardening or landscape book. So, you know, it tends to be a little bit glossy, but again, that's okay. Let's see what it came out of. Can't really tell. Anyway, I've obviously clamped these together because I had a plan to either, you know, make more of these envelope type things or signature page. So I guess that does help to some degree to keep things together, clip them together. But again, excuse me, you still have to remember that you've clipped it together and where did you put it. Okay, these are, oh, that's something I was putzing around with. Okay, here are more dictionary pages, obviously, a much bigger book, 3 columns of letters. And I must have had a plan for this too. Don't know what it was, unfortunately. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, these came out of, I have 2 big fat books with these iron-on embroidery transfers. So, and they're really old. The books are probably 25 or more years old. But, you know, a person could certainly cut around any of these designs. I don't know, did I rip out all the floral ones? Almost looks that way. So these two could be part of the collage or it could be an embellishment. Something like this with this rose thing could be a decoration along the page, along the side of a page. Now I guess the only downside to this, but maybe we don't care. Okay, you see how on this one, every design except this one has some, like a color, I imagine that's a color code. So VV would be whatever, UU would be whatever, TU, like every letter, and I guess then double letters, show you what colors you should use when you're actually doing embroidery. So that is a bit of a distraction. However, if it was fussy cut, some of that would disappear. And then there are parts of images that don't have anything. So a person could be selective about that or just decide that they like the charm of the color guide. Oh, Bob Bell. Okay, so that's where those pages came from. I don't understand why most of the time nobody bothered dating things. So this I could put it all back together. These pages that have so much blank space could also be used, of course, to back different, to back journal cards or whatever. Okay. This, so we showed you see how things get separated? So these pages came out of here. And for whatever reason, I have the cover here as well. Interesting paper, you know, if you wanted a column of numbers, sequential numbers, that would be nice. If you wanted to use this heavier paper as a base for a collage, you know, that would work too. You know, there's a fair bit of wear and tear on this for sure. Okay, 1972, so it's over 50 years old. So it's not surprising. Anyone who's over 50 shows signs of wear and tear. So there are some sketches in here. I thought there were also some schematic type. Okay, these are cool. Little, look how simple floor plans were back in the day. But I think there's a certain charm that comes with those kinds of pages. See, something like that is good also for a collage or a bit of interest. Or something like this, again, where there's a variation, and so we've got numbers, we've got a variety of fonts, we've got some black and white imagery, we've got larger font here, so a person could pick out, you know, maybe here, you know, maybe the phrase "it's living!" exclamation mark is something that would be the perfect addition to a something or other that you're decorating. So that's the value in something like this. Okay, the pile is working. We're working our way down. This is something that I clipped together. Now, if you buy those calendar desk pads from, I think it's Dollar Tree, you end up with this on the side of it. So you've got the cal of the actual month at a glance here. You've got the whole year laid out here, and you've got this section of notes. And there is usually also a decorative border. So in this case, it would be matching this at the top, and I don't know, maybe the bottom too. I have salvaged those very often to use number one, and that's probably why I clipped them together. This is nice paper. It's got a cute little design around the side. It's sort of creamy color. It's got a quote at the top, and it has lines. So if I wanted to back a card and wanted to make sure that there were some lines or something interesting to read, this is a good paper to do it. I could separate the border from the lines and use the border separately. This is cute in that it's got a scrolly little thing there and the word notes. So again, I try to keep these sorts of things together, and of course I have many more, but who knows where, that are good for backing things. Oh, look, here's the rest of Norman Rockwell. So you can just see pages and pages of images. Okay, what is this? I've been passing these around lately because, oh, I know, it sort of had these playbill type or these movie poster type images. A little harder, again, to use something like that. Although these posters could make cute decorations, I guess. So what else do we have here? Black and white photos. So on a case like this, I would rescue whatever I thought I would be able to use relatively quickly. So don't want to have to store it for 10 years. Okay, so this looks like it covers a 10-year period. Now, if something is kind of useless, I don't see a need for that. I would use these for some of my gluing. again, because they're kind of a useful size. James Dean. So I will just repile this here and leave it because I'm running out of space to put things. I took this apart because I believe I had 2 of these. So basically, it was this oversized 1977 is the latest date on there. So they're basically these oversized booklets that focus on these composers, and you can see here the names. I thought that there seemed to be some missing, and I don't believe I've used any, so I don't know. So basically, something like that could be, it could be cut out and a signature page, a centerfold, I would say, so that you get the full effect of his face. Maybe make it big enough to include his name there. Some fonts and words in different, like it's white on dark this time, which is the opposite of what we usually get. Text, old-time photographs. Here are some buildings. I guess this is his, his life story in a nutshell. Here's a bit of, I guess, a score that he did in his own writing. So there are several more of those. Maybe we'll just randomly pick another one and see if they're all structured the same way. So again, handwritten score, things that could be part of collages or embellishing. Lovely. That's his, oh, that's a painting of his wife, Cecile. Again, nice font, big numbers. There's a document of some sort. So I'll spare you looking at the rest of that. Now, typically, more recently, when I take apart a book, I rip off the end papers and then I just keep all the end papers together. I probably wasn't that keen on this one because it's snowflakes. This book is all about grandmothers are like snowflakes. The nice part about this is that it's all these quotes. It's got some fancy borders. It's got purple ink. I was going to say that is, that's a recipe, but okay. Delia Ephron, I believe she's Nora's sister. Chocolate chip cookies. Half sit, half lie on the bed, propped up by a pillow. Read a book. Place cookies next to you on the sheet so that the crumbs get in the bed. As you eat the cookies, remove each chocolate chip and place it on your stomach. Number 3, when all the cookies are consumed, eat the chips one by one, allowing 2 per page. That's clever. Requires some self-control too. Okay, how to eat like a child. If you're eating spinach, number 1, divide it into little piles. Rearrange again into new piles. Number 2, after 5 or 6 maneuvers, sit back and say you're full. Cool. Oh, I see. This is all by this Delia. So she was talking about, okay, if you're doing spinach, you do it that way. Okay, what do we do for ice cream? Number 1, this is a cone. Ask for a double scoop. Knock the top scoop off while walking out the door of the ice cream parlor. Cry. Number 2, lick the remaining scoop slowly so that the ice cream melts down the outside of the cone and over your hand. Stop licking when the ice cream is even with the top of the cone. Be sure it is absolutely even. Number 3, eat a hole in the bottom of the cone and suck the rest of the ice cream out of the bottom. Number 4, when only the cone remains with ice cream coating the inside, leave on car dashboard. Yes, we've all seen it happen. Not all of us think grandkids are the greatest, but that was before I met mine, said Jane Russell. So you can see there's value there. For the quotes, for the font color, for the decorative borders. So when I come across something like this, unless the price is absolutely stupid, I will be taking it home with me. Let's see what else I've got here. Okay, so this is, looks like I paid $1 for it. A 1979 World Almanac. Now this is really thin, yellowish paper, pretty weak, if I recall. Mind you, that didn't break, so that's a good thing. I have used this to back, and again, look at the beauty of this. Columns of numbers and names, more, and a tiny little font. Okay, so this is U.S. population, places of 5,000 and more with zip and area codes. These are senior colleges. Here's some sort of a graph. Another, okay, this is a mileage chart. Like page after page after page of goodness. Got mangled in wherever I had it, but glad I rediscovered that one. I don't know what book this is from. But obviously it's in let's say it's glued, but no, it's got signatures. Or is it? There seems to be glue there. Yeah, these are all glued. So, again, just same old, oh, I see I gessoed a bunch of them. Where did I put that other piece? So, again, some of the work has been done. I just need to follow up with that. A page like this with a lot of white. Oh, okay. I remember this. I bought this book because I liked the format. It was different. Shall we say it was different? And in fact, I don't have it near me. I did reuse the cover, and I filled every single page in it is watercolor paper, if I remember correctly. But anyway, what I started to say was that these pages with a lot of white are great for backing. I'll add that to my backing now, and that. But you can also see, like these that have been gessoed, if that were to be folded, you know, so that the raggedy edges at the back, that could become the basis of a bookmark or a belly band, and, you know, some of the work has been done. Okay, that's that. Okay, well, let's look at these. I have a version of this. Now, what is it called? Timelines of History or something. I have a large format version of this. You know, probably this size of paper. The beauty of this, again, that there's the other color of ink. There are those tiny little icons. There are dates. There are columns. So, again, just to add interest to, oh, that's just the library stamp. I thought it was a chapter heading. So the premise here is that this starts with some of the earliest dates in history, and it tells you sort of what happened at that time in terms of history, literature, arts, and science. So let's see, what year does this one go up to? Look at all those luscious index pages. Oh, this is pretty old. This is just up to 1950. Anyway, that's another treasure. Now this, look how neatly I removed those. It seems to me it had this is Devotions by Billy Graham. It had a luscious cover that I obviously intend for a project. I believe for myself. Signatures, so these could easily be put into, to be used in blah, 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 to be put in a book project. 7 by, 4 3/4. But look at this. Now suppose, and of course there would be all 12 of those. So it's got that, can you see the, okay, there's a quote. There's this nice mottled design around the edge. Now suppose I didn't really want to feature January. Or maybe I'd be doing a day book or a planner of some sort and a cover. That would make an awesome cover page. But suppose I didn't want to feature each month. It would be so easy to just do a little collage or slap an image over the word, and all of a sudden it becomes whatever you want it to be. Okay, that's still January. Okay, so we're coming into February here, so you can see same sort of thing. And I guess depending how the month ended up, there might be a page like this as a facing page. So that too is really cool. And I'm glad I rediscovered this as well. Okay, kids, we're almost done. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Okay, this little pile to go. This is an end page, or, end papers, flyleaf, whatever the word is. There's a quote. Oh, okay. This book, there was a famous Canadian author called W.O. Mitchell, and he wrote a lot. Well, he's been dead a long time. He wrote a lot about the Canadian prairie and so on. The reason that I grabbed this book when I saw it is because, okay, there's the title page. So I probably separated these because of the interesting font, or even that part 1, 2, 3, so on. But also because look at all that glorious space for backing things or whatever. So value in that. But yes, clearly. But the interesting part here, and that has some significance for me, is that it was illustrated by William Karelek. Now, this guy was Ukrainian. He's long since died as well. He grew up, I would say, about 10 miles or so from where I live. And, of course, his house is long gone, but I guess someone should have maybe had the foresight to save it before it just fell into disrepair. Anyway, this was a guy whose style is rural and primitive. Now, this is fairly glossy, and these are not probably certainly the most famous, famous images, but because he's illustrating this guy's book, it has to jive with the subject matter of the story. But you can see any farm kid on the prairies, excuse me, would identify with the big sky, gravel roads, dogs, kids. Again, farm scene, stooks. Interesting style in that the horizon line is so low. And again, I'm so sorry, guys. Not the typical way that you do a landscape. Or not a landscape, a horizon line. So there are all those colored plates. And then there are these chapter headings that have a black and white illustration. They have the larger number, and those could easily be cut out to decorate something. So, and sometimes with projects like this, where there isn't, you know, you don't need a great deal of attention, you don't need a cutting mat or any kind of tools, I would use a lap desk in bed and my Fiskars. These guys here, I have two pairs, one here, one in the bedroom, because these are easiest on my hands. And do that sort of thing while watching Netflix or YouTube videos or whatever. So I might just add this to my bedtime homework. Okay, I don't know where this came from. I have no idea what it is. It's obviously a book on, farm animals of the world. No idea about the date, but you can just tell by the, excuse me, by the photography that it's old. The pages are matte. Okay, they're about to operate on that horse. Now, I've been to a vet clinic when we had cows and have needed cesarean help with cesarean section deliveries, or have a calf pulled, or semen testing, or preg checking. No, that wouldn't have been done at the clinic, but I've seen vets in action, so it kind of means something to a farm kid. So there are some interesting photographs here that could obviously find their way into a farm journal. Now, some of these are clearly from other countries. So these guys are Italian, those guys are Bolivian. You know, chances are I wouldn't be using those in my project, in my farm journal, but if it looks like it could have been a Canadian rooster, then I would. Okay, this is 1965. So this too probably is bedtime homework. Then this one I think came out of that. I was talking about James Herriot. These are images that came out of his biography, I'm pretty sure. So they have value in them just because of the landscape. They could also be ripped up for collage if a person wanted to do, say, a blue-green background theme. So, again, too nice to, memories of a wartime vet. Too nice to discard because the paper is really good too. So a person just picks and chooses what to use based on the project at hand. A country pub, that's always an important spot. So again, a reminder. Now, I bet you I bought this book 2 or 3 years ago. So the fact that these are still in this format and I haven't done anything with them probably means that they're less valuable to me than some of the other things where I've just, deconstructed a book, totally gutted it, and used pretty well every speck of it, because that's how I kind of try to work or like to work. So there's that. Oh, I should say, and I don't think any of these books fit into that category, but I do have in my Etsy shop a starter package of book pages. Now, a lot of them are far, far older than what I've shown you today, like books from the 1800s, but a cross-section of book pages for people, again, who are starting out, maybe don't want to invest in all of this like I have and like many people have, but just want something interesting, want a cross-section, want a variety, want to have some pieces that they can begin working with right now, and don't want to have to buy a whole bunch of books and then end up drowning in books. So anyway, just saying that that option exists if you want variety without that huge investment, and maybe you don't have the space to store all this. Maybe you don't like to be surrounded by all this clutter. Okay, this book, I don't know where or when I got it. Forgot I had it. But it's about drafting. I have a bit of a soft spot for drafting because that was my husband's training, and he was an architectural draftsman, blah, blah, blah. Okay, copyright 1982, but you can see they've used a font here that is so darn interesting. The page numbers. I should be paying attention to what you can see or not see. But the camera lifted quite high today to get in more of the desktop. Anyway, wouldn't that be great in collage? You know how I feel about indexes and tables of contents. And again, because the paper is nice, and because there is, so for instance, if I tore around that, I would still have this huge chunk of paper that is, white on white, both sides. So let's just, drawings, measurements, plywood, that awesome font. Tools. Did you know that this sort of a thing, and I don't know where mine is right this minute, I'm not going to take time to look, is an erasing shield? So when you're a draftsman and you have, maybe made a little boo-boo and have to erase it, you try to find the slot, the hole on this little metal thing that would allow you to just erase that little area and not, wreck the rest of your drawing. And of course, those people, draftspeople, and I'm talking about back in the day, I don't know how many people are hand drafting anything anymore, but because there's CAD, computer assisted drafting, whatever, all computerized. But anyway, these sorts of templates, and I have several of these circle templates and other shapes and so on, that these people used when they needed to they needed that in their drawings. A nice sharpener, a brush, a soft brush like this for getting pencil sharpenings or erasure little debris off your surface. Oh, I think I have one of these. Okay, it says it's a 4-inch cloth bag filled with clean, ground up eraser particles that you pat on the drawing. This leaves salt grain sized bits of eraser that the tools ride on. A good way to keep drawings clean is to cover everything except the area being worked on. Another thing that I have in my stash is a package, or maybe two, about yay big, of blotting papers. So of course, draftsmen would have had to keep their hands clean, but we know sometimes, look, even if I put on hand lotion and I want to write something, I want to protect the paper that the heel of my hand is resting on, or whatever this thing is called, is resting on, so that I don't leave, greasy marks or whatever. And since our hands are dirty quite often, I should actually keep one or two of those handy. I also like them because they are, obviously, they're very absorbent. So if a person was working with ink, it would serve its purpose there as well. mechanical pencils like those. Different types of erasers. These things are called scales, these triangles. I have some of those also in plastic and in metal. And of course, masking tape is a big deal too. How did this turn into a lesson on how to become a draftsman in 4 easy steps? Anyway, I guess the point is that there is a cross-section or a cross-pollination of things that we can use from other fields. So another thing that I have somewhere here is, well, I think I've shown you, I thought I said that in the video, the French curve, not stencils, what would they be called? Plastic shapes, anyway, with French curves. I talked about that. I also have the blue thing that is about yay wide, so 5/8 of an inch wide or so, that is flexible, and you shape it to make sort of the curve that you want, and of course you could trace along it and have this nice flowing thing. And again, you can live a full and satisfying life without owning that. Let me just say. Draftspeople, by necessity, have to be precise. Like 30 of an inch and 16ths of an inch make a difference. Do we need a perfectly smooth line in our line of business and in our line of fun? No, we don't. So don't feel that you need to rush out and buy any of that stuff. If you have it and want to use it, great. If you don't, your life is totally complete without it as well. So this is obviously a really good book. Here are symbols for indicating what a particular thing is. So if it's wood, okay, that's a symbol for plywood. This would be for concrete block. This is fiberglass insulation. Anyway, enough is enough. Oh, I like this too. So sometimes it helps to, in the bookstore or in the thrift store, to venture out of your familiar departments or the places you make a beeline to and see what exists in other areas of the store. I have no idea how long I've been talking. Oh my goodness, over an hour. But hopefully you found some value in this. Hopefully you're going to, especially if you're new, have picked up some tips on how to make the most use of the things you do have. Maybe some tips on titles or types of books to look for when you're out and about. And you may even find them in your own house, in your own basement, or that if your parents or grandparents. So I will stop there. This, I believe I said, was day 16. So just like death and taxes, there will be another episode again tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.